Hi, you two. Happy Monday. Welcome to the final part of this book, Ghostyshocks and the Three Scares. So you will remember that we met someone called Ghostyshocks, and Ghostyshocks got very, very scared. And there were three bears, the mummy bear, the daddy bear, the baby bear. And it was similar to a story that we already know. So, we know that she had just gone into the forest, and it said deep, deep in the darkest part of the forest, Ghostyshocks was as jittery as a jellyfish. She ran off the path and hid in the undergrowth. "Why are you out all alone?" asked a deer. "My granny is poorly, and I've come to collect washing up liquid." "No! Wild wasp droppings?" "No! Wood!" Do you remember? Because her granny asked her to go out and get some wood for the fire. At the bear's house, Daddy Bear said, "Oh, this breakfast is far too hot, Mummy Bear. I'll tell you what, let's have a nice walk while it cools off. Come on, Baby Bear, grab your wellies." So the three bears put on their boots and went out into the forest for a stroll. I'll be going for lots of strolls during lockdown. Nice to get out and about. By now, Ghostyshocks had wandered further and further from the path. Twigs scratched at her face like wicked witches' fingers. To her horror, she realised that she was completely lost. "Excuse me, I'm loopy as a lettuce?" "No." "Lonely as a lobster in a letterbox?" "No." "Lost." "Well, why don't you ask that big house over there?" Look at this big house that she could ask him. So Ghostyshocks stumbled up to the huge back door and with a shaky finger rang the doorbell. No one answered, but the door slowly creaked open. Creak! Ghostyshocks stepped inside. Her stomach felt knotted like knitted knickers, and her knees were knocking nervously. Before her was a large table. 3 places were set for breakfast. Whose house is it? There was a big bowl, a middle-sized bowl, and a teeny-weeny baby bowl. But what was inside the bowl? Ghostyshocks dipped her finger into the big bowl. "Ugh!" she gasped. "It's disgusting." She dipped her finger into the middle-sized bowl. "What is it?" She picked up the teeny-weeny baby bowl and she stared at the red liquid inside. She remembered the terrible stories of vampire bears and suddenly she shrieked, "It must be blood!" Do we think they're drinking blood or eating blood? Ghostyshocks was shaking so much that she spilt the whole bowl down her clean dress. "Eek!" she screamed. She had to sit down before she fainted with fright. She found a huge chair, but it was just too big. She found a middle-sized chair, but it was too hard. She found a teeny-weeny baby-sized high chair, and that was too small, but she sat in it anyway. Crack! The teeny-weeny high chair shattered into teeny-tiny pieces. "Ah!" screamed Ghostyshocks as she ran out and up into the twisting staircase. What's going to happen next? What's she going to find? Gasping for breath, she stumbled into her bedroom. Then, to her horror, Ghostyshocks heard voices downstairs. "Oh, someone's been poking their paws in my breakfast," roared a huge, great voice. "And someone's been playing with my breakfast. How unhygienic," said a middle-sized voice. "And someone's been mucking about with my breakfast," said teeny-weeny voice, "and spilt the whole bowl." They are not happy. Ghostyshocks searched desperately for a place to hide. She pulled back the covers on a huge bed, but they'd easily spot her in there. She tried to hide in the middle-sized bed, but the bears would look there too. Then Ghostyshocks noticed a teeny-weeny bed in the far corner of the room. She crawled inside and pulled the sheets right over her head. What's going to happen? "Oi, someone's been sitting in my chair!" roared a huge, great voice downstairs. "And someone's been sitting in my chair," said a middle-sized voice. "And someone's been sitting in my chair," said a teeny-weeny voice. "And they smashed it into teeny tiny pieces." Ghostyshocks heard footsteps creaking up the stairs and coming slowly along the dark corridor. They came closer and closer and closer. The door was slowly pushed open. "Somebody's been lying in my bed," roared a huge, great voice. "And somebody's been lying in my bed," said a middle-sized voice. Ghostyshocks closed her eyes as tight as she could and lay frozen with fear. She heard the loud breathing of the bears as they searched the room. Closer and closer and closer. Suddenly a hairy paw grabbed the blankets on the teeny-weeny bed and tore them away. 3 bears stared at Ghostyshocks. She was as white as a sheet and covered with a ghastly red stain. "Somebody's been bumped off in my bed," said a teeny-weeny voice, "and she's still there." "Ooh-hoo!" screamed the daddy bear. "Ooh-hoo!" yelled the middle-sized bear. "Whee!" squealed the teeny-weeny bear. The 3 bears were horrified. They turned and ran for the door. "Wait," said Ghostyshocks, sitting up in bed. "I want to cut off our heads. No, cook us for dinner. No, cuddle that little bear." "Promise you won't hurt me," said the teeny-weeny baby bear. Of course I won't," said Ghostyshocks. "Well, let's all go downstairs and have some breakfast," said Mummy Bear. "I've made some lovely tomato soup, and I'm sure it's cool now." "Tomato soup?" said Ghostyshocks. "Does that mean you're not I thought you were vegetarians, dear." "Of course we are. Daddy Bear grows all of our own vegetables." So the 3 bears and Ghostyshocks had breakfast all together. "Can I have porridge instead of soup?" Mummy Bear washed Ghostyshocks' dress, and Daddy Bear said it didn't matter at all about the teeny-weeny high chair because Baby Bear was getting quite big now. He put all the pieces of wood into Ghostyshocks' bag for her firewood. "We must come down and meet your granny and everyone in the village," said Mummy Bear. "We wanted to visit, only we don't like leaving little Baby Bear." "Well, I could bring your granny in a barrow." "No." "Buy a buggy for Baby Bear." "No." "Babysit for you." "I'm the best babysitter for miles around," said Ghostyshocks. £3 an hour, £4 at weekends. You provide tea, coffee and snacks, and easy on the tomato soup." "But wouldn't you be nervous out here with just Baby Bear?" asked Daddy Bear. "Who, me?" said Ghostyshocks. "Nothing scares me. We'll play in the forest and tell each other ghost stories. It'll be an absolute scream." Well, I didn't expect the story to end like that, did you? I didn't know that Ghostyshocks was suddenly going to lose all of her fear and offer to babysit for a bear. How silly. I wonder why these are called Seriously Silly Stories. It must be because they're so silly. I hope you enjoyed Ghostyshocks and the 3 Scares, and come back tomorrow for our next book.